Hi, everyone. In this video, I'm going to be working a few problems, each of them more or less the same type, just presented in a different way. We're going to be finding the slope-intercept equation of a line. So in this first problem, so for each of the five problems, I'm going to do five problems today, I think. For each of these five problems, they're going to start off with the same few words. Find the slope-intercept equation of the line. So before we do any of these problems, the first thing we need to make sure that we're all comfortable with is what this is. What is the slope-intercept equation? Well, the slope-intercept equation of a line is the equation, the form y equals mx plus b. Now, we see four letters here, four letters, an equal sign and a plus sign. There's two variables, x and y are our variables. So every point on the xy plane, this point right here, for example, is given as an x and a y. And there's a lot of different options for x and y, so that's why we call them variables. They vary. Different point, different x, different y. Right? But once you have a specific line, the m is a specific number for that line, and the b also is a specific number for that line. Now, the m stands for the slope of the line, and the b stands for the y-intercept. Or we could say the y value of the point, which is the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. So for any problem, and this is important because this is, thinking big picture. For any problem, find the slope-intercept equation of the line. Right? Find the slope-intercept equation of the line. In any case, we have two things we have to do. Number one, find m, and number two, find b. It doesn't matter which order. We could find the m first and then the b, or the b first and then the m. But we have two things we have to do. In this problem, well, if you look at the graph right there, that's the y-intercept. That is where the graph is crossing the y-axis. It looks like it's happening right at +4. We can look at that point, and that point is going to be 0 for x and 4 for y. All right, so that is the y-intercept. That's the b. Now for the slope, well, there's a couple different ways we could look at the slope. We could look at the slope in terms of a formula. And our slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We've talked about this previously. So what this means is we have to pick 2 points. We're not going to pick this guy over here. It's not on the line. This guy over here is not on the line. But we're going to pick 2 points on the line, any 2 points. Well, we've already got one. We've got that point 0, 4. Now, we could pick any other point. So we might as well go with one of the points that I have marked because they involve whole numbers. So let's call this, I don't know, x1 and y1. So we could call this point number 1. And then over here, this could be our x2, y2. We just have to distinguish between, the first point and the second point. We could call the 0, 4, x1, y1, and the other one x2, y2. It doesn't matter. Just you have to pick one point and call it point number 1. Another point, call it point number 2. And so this looks like -2 on the x-axis and +1 on the y-axis. All right, so this is the point -2, +1. And to calculate the slope, we take y minus y. So we'll do 4 minus 1 divided by x minus x. So that's 0 minus a -2. So we're subtracting a negative. 0 minus a -2. So that gives us 3 on top, and 0 minus -2 is 0 plus 2, which is 2 on the bottom. So there's our slope. So we're basically, and, in any question like this, again, I'll just, sort of say the same thing, but visually, fill in the blank. Right, this is our goal. Y equals mx plus b. X and y remain x and y. Those are our variables, because for different points, the x's and the y's are changing. There is only, like, for one specific line, there is only one m, and there is only one b. So we got to figure out m and b. So in this case, we're done. We're done. Our m is right here, the 3/2. And our b, that's what we did first. That's you're just reading that off of the graph. That's the 4 where the line crosses the y-axis. All right, so that's one way of looking at slope. Let me just do this one more time. It's another way we sort of characterize the slope is slope is equal to rise over run. Again, you have to pick 2 points. Regardless of how you approach it, you gotta pick 2 points. I'll just use the same 2 points. And the question is, how do you get from the first point to the second point, or from point A to point B, moving only left, right, or up, down? So it looks like here we got to go up and over. And how far? Well, if you just count on the axis, 1, 2, 3. So it looks like we're going up 3, and then to the right by 2. So the rise would be the up 3, so that's +3. The run would be the right 2, so that's a +2. So we get the same slope. So it doesn't matter if you're using the formula or if you're thinking more visually in terms of rise over run. We get the same result. So our final answer would be y is equal to 3/2 times x plus 4. And that should do it for this one. So one more of these guys. I'm going to go through this much quicker because we just did all the discussion in the previous one. So this is the same problem. Find the slope-intercept equation. And again, I'm going to treat it the same way. Fill in the blank. Y equals something times x plus something. It looks like we got the y-intercept. All right, so +2 for the y-intercept. And slope. Now let's look at the slope. So we could look at this point right here, which is the point 0, 2. And I've got another point marked over here. All right, so we could use this point, or we could use the other point on the left, but I'll use this one. This is 5 for the x, 4 for the y, so that's the point 5, 4. So when we calculate our slope, m is equal to y value minus y value. I'm looking at those 2 points. 4 minus 2 are the y values, divided by x minus x. So that's 2 on top, 5 on the bottom. So there's our slope. Fill in the blank. That's the fraction 2/5. All right, so that does it. Our final answer, y equals 2/5 times x plus 2. 2/5 times x plus 2. Okay, so this is one way this question can be asked. Find the equation of the line if you're given a graph. This is one of many ways it could be asked. So here's another way. We're not given a graph, but we're given some information. This is actually even easier. Find the equation of the line with the given slope and y-intercept. So again, what we're looking for is y equals, fill in the blank, something times x plus something. This is 2 separate problems. Well, it doesn't get any easier than this. There's really no work to do. we're given the slope, right? So all we really need to know for this problem is that the symbol for slope is the letter M, and the symbol for y-intercept is the letter B. So the 5/6 goes in for the M, and the 11/6 goes in for the B. So honestly, nothing to do here other than write down the answer. -5/6 times x plus 11/6. On the right, well, this is actually one of our special cases, a slope of 0. But we don't need to just look at this and know necessarily it's a horizontal line, but it ends up being a horizontal line. So y equals something times x plus something. So in this case, our m, which is the slope, is 0, and our b is 4. Well, 0 times anything is 0. So that's 0 times x. 0x is 0. So this equation simplifies to y equals 4. And let me actually erase that. Write it in green. That's our final answer. No, not 0. Sorry. Slope is 0. Y equals 4 is our final answer. All right, y equals mx plus b. In this case, is y equals 0x plus b. Okay, they're not all this easy. In case you were wondering. So here's another way of asking this same problem. Find the equation of the line. In this case, we're not given the graph, but we're given some information about the graph. We have two pieces of information here. The point -4, 4 is on the line. Sorry, +4, 4 is on the line. What does that mean? Well, that's an ordered pair, x, y. So when x equals 4, y equals 4. And we've got the m. So we're starting with y is equal to mx plus b. And we are given an x. We are given a y, and we are given an m, right? So if you look at this equation, y equals mx plus b, there's 4 letters, x, y, m, and b. 3 of them we could use. Now the x and the y are just, we're temporarily using 4 and 4. But if we take those values, right, so the -1/2 is going in for the m, the y value is going in for the y, the x value is going in for the x, right? So take all the given information. So that becomes 4 is equal to -1/2 times 4 plus b. All right, so we took the y equals mx plus b equation, replaced the x and the y with the 4 and the 4, replaced the m with the -1/2. And now we've only got one letter here. We've got the b. So now we can solve this equation and figure out what is b. Let's start with this. -1/2 times 4. A negative times a positive is a negative, and 1/2 of 4 is 2 plus b. We could add 2 to both sides. +2 plus 2. So we get 6 on the left equals, the positive and negative 2's cancel. 6 is equal to b. We're given M, we just solved for B, right? That's what we need at like the last three problems. No different. We need the M and we need the B. We were in this problem, we were given the M, we solved for the B. So the final answer would be y is equal to -1/2, that's the M, times x plus 6, right? We put in the B, we put in the M, there's our equation. Y equals -1/2 x plus 6. All right, let's do one more. One more, slightly different problem. Well, same problem, but slightly different in terms of what we're working with. But still, find the equation of the line. And remember, we have two things to do. Find M, find B. In this example, I think this is the first one out of the 5 where we're not given either of these, right? We're not given the M, we're not given the B, but we're given enough information to figure these out. So let's start off with the slope. What is the slope of this line? To find the slope, we do y value minus y value divided by x value minus x value. You just have to pick one of the points to call point number 1. I'll say, maybe the first one is point number 1 and the second one is point number 2. So that is y value minus y value, right? -6 minus 0 divided by the x value minus the other x value. -6 minus 0 is -6. 3 minus 8 is a -5. Two negatives cancel. That's +6/5. Oop. Meant to do this highlighter. Okay, there we go. So we've got M. And now this becomes pretty much the same problem as the one we just did. Now we have the slope. So back in number 4, we were given the slope and a point. We'll do the same thing. Now we have the slope. We had to find it first here, but now we have the slope, which I just highlighted, and we have a point. We actually have 2 points. We have one more than we need, but we have the slope and we have a point. So let's do exactly what we did in the last problem. Exactly what we did. Right, so now, this is exactly like number 4. We have a point. And we have a slope. And we need to find the equation of the line. I chose the point 80 because I think zeros are easier to work with because 0 times anything is 0, 0 plus anything is 0. We could have used the 3 and the -6. We just had to pick one point. All right, so y is equal to mx plus b. All right, the m goes in for m, the 6/5. The 0 goes in for y. The 8 goes in for x. This is exactly how I had it written out with these 3 red arrows before. So instead of y equals mx plus b, we'll use 0 for y, 6/5 for m, 8 for x, and then plus b. Now, solve for b. We've already solved for m, now we got to solve for b. Oh, this is not terrible. Let me actually come up here. So 0 is equal to 6 over 5 times 8. So instead of 8, maybe write it as 8 over 1. So 0 equals top times top. Bottom times bottom. So 6 times 8 is 48. 5 times 1 is 5. Now you got to get b by itself. Get b by itself. So easy enough. We have a positive number, so we could subtract it. It doesn't matter that it's the fraction. You know, this ugly fraction 48 over 5. We're not actually doing anything with that fraction. We're just subtracting it from both sides. And because we have a 0, makes it easy. We don't have to worry about common denominators and messing around with the fractions. It's just 0 minus 48 over 5 is 48 over 5. And on the right-hand side, we've got b. All right, so we've got our m, we've got our b, which means we've got our equation. Plus 48 over 5. We found the m first, that goes into the equation. Then we found the b second, that goes into the equation. X and y revert back to x and y. So we have y equals 6 over 5x plus 48 over 5. All right, so that's it for this video. 5 examples of finding the equation of a line. This is not by any means the only 5 ways or 4 ways this question could be asked. There's another, I could think of another half dozen or 10 or maybe a full dozen more, slightly different variations of this problem. But this is a pretty good start. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.